helps just one person, as people say, then I'm glad I did it. So, it has been a bit of a while. Once again, I have not posted anything on YouTube for a few months. This time, a little bit different, as you can probably tell from the title of this video. I lost my job. It's been a bit of a weird one, to be perfectly honest. I wasn't even sure if I was going to make this video. I feel like I've wanted to make this video, but I just didn't know how to sort of start it or get across what the point of the video is, really. I didn't want it to be like, oh, I'm so sad, or I also didn't want it to be everything's so positive now and I'm like living the dream and I've got all this time, because it's not. So I thought I would just take you through what's happened and what my plans are for my next steps, I guess. So if I start right from the beginning, I started this new job in August. I applied for my Part 3 course, which they were due to fund. So everything was going well at that point. So a few months pass, I'm like getting on with my Part 3 course, everything's going well there. I'm still learning the process of everything. My last Part 2 architectural assistant job wasn't as open as my new Part 2 architectural assistant job. So I didn't necessarily know about how things were meant to be run or anything. In my last Part 2 architectural assistant job, I was told what to do and then I just did it. In this job, or in my last job, that I'm now no longer with, there was a lot more responsibility. So it was expected, here is a project, get on with it, rather than here is a task, get on with it. I was taking a little bit of time to get used to that, as you would expect. Like a Part 2 architectural assistant job, usually they come straight out of uni. But the experience I had, as I said, was more task-based rather than project-based, or was more do this task rather than do this project. So at my 3-month review, it was said that I need to communicate more, I need to take more responsibility, that sort of thing. And I was told at that point that they were not going to fund my Part 3 course until I passed my probation. So after that, I was already doing what I thought was my best at that point, but I really pushed myself after that because I wanted to keep the job, the money was good, I was on my Part 3 course, and I wanted to stay in the company because exciting things were happening in it. So I pushed myself really hard, probably too hard if I'm honest, because I was still doing my Part 3 course assignments. I was really working hard with that. So I ended up working extra hours, like studying it like during the evenings or in the mornings. I was waking up at like 4 a.m, going to bed at like 11 p.m, so I wasn't getting enough sleep. But just bad times. And friends and family will be able to, I say friends and family, probably like during this time I basically have not talked to my friends at all. And if you're watching this, hi. I have got back into contact with them recently. But anyway, yeah, my partner and my parents will be able to sort of say that at this point I was not happy, really. I was struggling quite a lot with my mental health. I just didn't seem like a happy person, which in the past I have been. I tend to be quite a happy person. And in the last 6 months up to couple of years of being a Part 2 architecture assistant in 2 separate jobs that weren't a good fit for me, I just haven't been very happy. So we get to, I think, the beginning of January, so just as we're all going back to work, school, wherever, I'm getting emails from my Part 3 course saying that there's been a delay on my payments for the course, which is because my company haven't been making the payments because I was still on probation. So at this point, I'm sort of pushing for my probation meeting. I'm feeling fairly positive about it. I know there's stuff that I could still work on, but I was thinking, you know, I've only been there 6 months. There's still loads of time to improve, and I'm on my Part 3 course, which is going well. But unfortunately, in that meeting, I was told that I wasn't going to be made a permanent member of staff. That was hard. That was really hard to hear. And I cried quite a lot, actually. In that meeting, like throughout, maybe it was an hour, in the first 10 minutes, I got told that I wasn't going to be made a permanent member of staff. And then for the next 45 minutes, an hour, I don't know, I was, you know when you can probably feel it, like the little bit of choking up. I can almost hear it in my voice as I'm speaking now. But I was very torn up about it, and at the end of that meeting I was like, okay, cool, I don't, like, in that point I was thinking, okay, I'm employed now, I don't have a job. My self-worth plummeted, absolutely plummeted. I left the room crying. I walked out of the office almost hysterically crying, got an Uber home. I'd like had my suspicions about where my job was going and the situation beforehand. So my boyfriend was like, I called him straight afterwards, and he sort of like, he'd been prepared for good news or bad news. Just as it happened, it was bad news. So I called him just before I got my Uber, got him my Uber. Yeah, I went home. And yeah, I cried quite a lot. But the next day, it felt a little bit better. I started to see things in a different way, feeling a little bit more positive. I let myself, that happened on the Friday night. I gave myself the weekend to just sit and think about things, try and do things that made me like happy. I can't actually remember what I did, but that weekend was fine. So on that Monday, I started thinking, okay, what can I do? And the first thing, it might surprise you, usually when you've lost your job, the first thing you do is then immediately try and find a new one. You're like, okay, I need to get back on the horse, I need to be positive, need to, like, for me as well, if I found a job very quickly, I could then stay in my Part 3 course. But instead, this is very telling of where my mind was at and what my priority should have been ages ago, is that I called the GP and tried to chase for an operation that I've been waiting for I'm gonna say 2 and a bit years that I've been putting off because work was really busy or anything like that. And I knew that because the NHS is so busy at the moment, I knew that whilst I was on the waiting list, I wasn't going to be at the top of that waiting list for a while. So I knew that the only way to actually get to the top of that waiting list was to push and remind them that I've been on the waiting list for 2 years, whatever. So one of the first things I did on that Monday was sort that out. And then, what was it, like a week later, or some ridiculous amount of short time, I got a call. And it's honestly the best call I've probably had in the past 2 years. And that is including the 2 calls to say that I'd got my Part 2 architectural assistant jobs. And it was that I was now at the top of the waiting list and I was going to have my surgery. Insane. That put so much into perspective. For the last 2.5 years, that is what I've been putting off, like my own health. And I could see it throughout my own experience as Part 2 architectural assistants, where I'm putting so much in and I'm neglecting my friends, myself, my partner, like just my parents. I'm sort of keeping myself very isolated and focusing only on work and study. But now my health, self-care, everything like that is top of my list. So it might surprise you that my what's next at the moment is very dependent on when my surgery is and my own health. So in an ideal world, I would have had my surgery ages ago, or I guess better yet, wouldn't need surgery. But in an ideal world, I would be looking for a job right now. And whilst I've put together my CV, my portfolio, I've sent it off to a couple of people. I've sent it off to a couple of friends. I've talked to some people on my Part 3 course to see what they think about things and if they have any spaces in their architectural offices. But I've kind of decided not to look for an architectural job until I've had my surgery. And that's been a decision that I've made with the people who have watched my decline in my mental and physical health over the last few years. It's just best for me, like my own sanity and physical health and everything, that I wait for. And do you know what? It's also good for the firms as well, because what I don't want to happen is for me to apply for a job, get the job, and then immediately go on sick leave for however long, because I don't know how long my recovery is at this point. So at the moment I'm waiting until I've had my surgery, which should be in a couple of weeks, and recovering. And whilst I'm recovering, I can still edit things and do things that make me happy, and hoping to find some more freelance work and all that good stuff to obviously make money, because I need money. But that's where I'm at the moment. I am focusing on my health, reconnecting with friends and family who I've neglected for the last, I've been saying 2.5 years, but I feel like I've been neglecting people for a decade. Like, I started my architectural journey in 2013 and I've just lost connections and lost, I haven't lost friends, I just haven't talked to them as much as I should have and wanted to. So yeah, that is where I'm at the moment, and whilst this was a hard video to record, I feel a lot more okay with things at the moment, because I shared my experience of what has happened on Instagram, and I did a post I think last week, and the response I've got has been unbelievable. I cried again. I cry a lot, or I have cried a lot in the last however long, but the response I've got has been absolutely amazing, and I've pinned it to my Instagram, Archi Student Notes, just so that if anyone is going through anything similar, they can have a look at that. And just for anyone who's watching, if you have gone through something similar where you have lost a job or is in a similar sort of mind space as I am, please message me. Comment on this YouTube video, comment on my Instagram post, message me, DM me. I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram. Message me anywhere, and I really want to help, because that's also another thing that I want to do with my life, is help other people, and that's what Archi Student Notes is all about, which is why I felt it was important to share my past experiences, or my past recent experiences, with you all. So hopefully that has helped someone. If it helps just one person, as people say, then I'm glad I did it. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, I have loads of time now to make YouTube videos, funnily enough. So hopefully I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye.